Let's resume our deliberations. Your Eminences, Your Excellencies, if we can restart. Archbishop Thompson has graciously agreed to move his presentation to tomorrow so that we can stay closer to our schedule. And so I'm pleased to welcome at this point one of our special guests, Bishop Stepan Sus, Bishop of the Major Archiepiscopal Curia of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church. Bishop, I invite you to please come to the podium and to say a few words.
He was with Archbishop Kudziak.
I don't think he's in the room.
Oh.
We can switch, yeah.
Hey, his sister here.
Yeah, is sister here? Yeah, sister's here.
Instead, since we can't seem to find Bishop Sus, join me in welcoming Sister Maria Juan Anderson, a religious sister of Mercy of Alma, Michigan. Sister currently serves as the coordinator for the USCCB's Office for United States Visitors to the Vatican. She will share with us some information about this office and the service they provide to pilgrims visiting Rome. Sister, welcome. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon. As Archbishop said, I am Sister Maria Juan, and I currently serve as the coordinator of your office, the United States Bishop's Office for American Visitors to the Vatican in Rome. I would like to share with you this afternoon about the good work being done in your name in the heart of the Eternal City. To begin, I invite you for a moment to follow the typical experience of a pilgrim who works with our office. We've been dreaming of going to Italy for years, specifically to Rome, saving and planning, arranging hotels and tours. We recently heard from a friend of a friend about a website that helps Americans get tickets to see the Pope, something called a Wednesday audience. So we send an email and receive a reply. Our tickets have been granted, and we can pick them up on Tuesday afternoon at a place called the Casa Santa Maria. We arrive to Rome, it's Tuesday. We're jet-lagged, filled with carbonara, and we make our way past the Trevi Fountain, round the corner, and join a line of what we come to know are other Americans from all around the United States. The doors open at 3 p.m., and the line moves fairly quickly up some stairs into a beautiful courtyard. We come to a table where we meet some smiling sisters and seminarians who ask our last name, find us on a spreadsheet, and hand us our tickets. A seminarian invites us to stay for a brief orientation where we are explained exactly what, when, and where will happen the next morning. We enter a room where a sister begins to tell us many practical and helpful tips: when to get in line, what we're allowed to bring, and what side of the square the Pope-mobile is going to drive out. She tells us to pay attention to the three big moments of the audience: teaching, prayer, and blessing. The Holy Father will begin with a reading from Scripture and then offer a brief homily. Next, prayer. Pope Francis will invite us all to pray together the Our Father. Sister encourages us to unite our prayers with and for the Pope and those around us. Finally, the moment of blessing. Sister explains that yes, it's true, the Pope is blessing the entire piazza, but he also intends to bless each of us, you and I. He blesses our needs, our intentions, our desires, all of the prayers we've brought with us. She tells us that at this moment of blessing, the church also offers us the opportunity to receive the gift of a plenary indulgence. We went to Catholic school. We've heard that word before. Was it in 7th grade or a blurb in the bulletin last week? Sister explains that it's a tremendous outpouring of grace freely given that we can receive for ourselves or someone who has died. While we can't earn it, we can be properly disposed to receive it. She offers us a few ways to do so. Pray for the Pope, go to Mass, receive Holy Communion, and then she begins to talk about confession. She talks about sin and the wounds that follow it, wounds we give ourselves, others, our relationship with God. She talks about the remedy for these wounds, the mercy of Jesus, and how it is made available to us in the sacrament of confession. She invites us to see this audience, this Wednesday audience, as an encounter with the church, with the Holy Father, and as an opportunity to grow in our faith, to be open to receiving all of the graces that God may want to give us that morning. She invites us to consider going to confession today as a way of preparation. She smiles and says, there are 3 priests available outside this room. They're American, they speak English, and you probably won't ever see them again. Remember, we went to Catholic school, we've been to confession. When was the last time? 10 years, 20, before our wedding? We're not sure we remember when or how to do it, but we are assured that the priest does not have enough time in his day to hear all of we've done since. Then it's as if Sister reads our mind. She says, don't worry, if it's been a while and you don't remember what to say, we have a helpful little cheat sheet right here. And you can walk in and tell the priest, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned and I don't remember how to do this. He'll walk you through it. Whatever sin you've carried in with you, you don't have to carry out. So we exit the room, gather our courage, and get in line. This story that we've just heard is true, and one that I have the privilege of witnessing over and over every Tuesday afternoon in your office in Rome. So what exactly do we do, and how did we come to be there? Practically speaking, the visitor's office exists to aid the faithful from your diocese in obtaining a ticket to see the Pope by serving as a liaison between them and the prefecture of the papal household. Anyone in the world can write to the prefecture and ask for a ticket to a papal event. We work directly with the prefecture on their behalf to help them navigate the language barrier and at times overwhelming process, then invite them to collect their tickets at our office, providing them a little more than just a ticket. American pilgrims have been coming to this location since the 1850s, when the North American College, now the Casa Santa Maria, was established in Rome. In the beginning, the rector himself welcomed American pilgrims and gave them a ticket to the weekly audience. Soon, a separate office was established within the Casa and for many years staffed by Italians. In the 1970s, an American priest, Monsignor Wrench, became the director and brought it from a place to get a ticket to an apostolate, where along with your ticket to see the Pope, you receive a warm welcome, some practical tips, and a little catechesis. Our sisters began assisting Monsignor Wrench in the late 1990s and continue today as coordinator and staff. The main service our sisters provide is to welcome pilgrims every Tuesday afternoon in anticipation of the Holy Father's weekly Wednesday audience. We also work very hard to respond to the nearly 100 daily emails received by the office. While most people write requesting tickets, we also help facilitate tickets to Holy Week and Easter liturgies, the Christmas season, solemnities and feasts throughout the year, and canonization masses. We answer their questions as they navigate an often once-in-a-lifetime trip to Rome, with suggestions for good Catholic tour guides, what time are the daily masses in St. Peter's, and how to see the catacombs. Our website is also a great resource for pilgrims, including a list of English masses available in the Eternal City. 2 of these masses are also sponsored and organized by your visitor's office. Every Sunday morning, there is an English Mass for pilgrims at the Church of Santo Spirito in Sassia, 2 blocks from St. Peter's Square. The congregation changes every week, but the pews are always full. And every first Saturday of the month, we organize an English Mass at the tomb of St. Peter, providing the pilgrims a powerful opportunity of prayer at the heart of the church. How do these people find us? Word of mouth, our website, a Google search. Many of you send them directly to us. For those of us for whom numbers say a lot, in the past calendar year, 7,356, I checked yesterday, people have used our online audience ticket registration form. On an average Tuesday during the high season, we will distribute 900 tickets to pilgrims on a Tuesday in a 3-hour period, 500 tickets during a slow season. We welcome families, school groups, parish pilgrimages, university students. We will help them if they come. One group we welcome each week are the newlyweds, or the sposi novelli. These are couples married in the church within the past calendar year. Often young, sometimes young at heart, husbands and wives who come dressed in their bridal gowns and suits and ties and present themselves to the Holy Father to receive his blessing on their marriage. Since September 18th of this year, we have welcomed 341 newly married couples from the United States to our office. These are your people from your diocese, your parishes, who want to live good, holy, and long marriages with Jesus Christ at the center. Old, young, families, couples, friends, people deeply committed to the church, people who have walked away or wandered from the church, people who are unaware of the church. We welcome them all as we would welcome Christ. Their commonality is they want to see the Pope. They want to see Peter. As Paul VI told us, the church exists to evangelize, and there are countless good and beautiful ministries and groups working very hard going out to reach the lost. Your little office in the heart of Rome sits in a privileged and precious place. We open our door, and people literally walk in. We then have and take the opportunity to share with them in a clear and hopefully disarming way the beauty of God's love and give them a chance to return or at the very least come closer to him. While handing out tickets and a good orientation is one thing, the most powerful part of our service is inviting people back to the sacrament of confession. As you heard in the story at the beginning, we try to weave a little catechesis into the practical parts, to convey the power of seeing Peter, and as a way to prepare them, we speak about the truth of sin, the goodness of God's mercy, and then simply invite them to go to confession. They go every single week. Some are those who might regularly go to confession at home, but more often than not, it is people who have been away from the sacrament for 10, 20, 30, and even 60 years. The beauty of Rome begins to pale in comparison to a soul freshly reconciled to Christ. This could not happen without the priests whom you have sent to Rome for graduate studies and who reside at the Casa Santa Maria. Every week, 3 of these priests volunteer to come and hear the confessions of our pilgrims. It is not unusual that our line gets so long that I have to go upstairs to the library and recruit 1, 2, and often 3 more priests to come and help. We are almost always able to offer confession both in English and in Spanish. 2 weeks ago, I had 6 priests hearing confession for over 2 hours, and the line was very long. The priests themselves often express to us how good it is in the midst of coursework and doctoral research to have the opportunity to be a priest and to be an instrument of God's mercy. We also have 4 seminarians from the North American College every semester who assist us in providing a hospitable welcome, orientations, as well as offering free weekly tours at St. Peter's and St. Paul's. We are, of course, gearing up for the Holy Year, the Jubilee, when we are told the pilgrims will increase exponentially. We are ready to welcome them and provide them with the same welcome and assistance as always. As you may have heard, most of Rome right now is under construction and repair in anticipation of the Jubilee. We decided to join them and have given our website a little facelift. Our website is housed as part of the North American College website, pnac.org. We are told it should be ready for its debut by the end of December. Most, if not all of you, are aware of our work in Rome, though some of you may be hearing a little more about it for the first time today. This is your office. Your name is on our sign and at the top of the letterhead that I use. I hope that the next time you find yourself in Rome, you will come and visit us and see us in action. You and your staff are very, very welcome to contact us directly. We are happy to assist you and the faithful in your diocese with questions as they journey to Rome. If it's not there already, I would ask that you consider putting a link to our webpage on your diocesan website so that the faithful in your diocese can utilize us as a resource. Your office in Rome is providing an extraordinary service for the faithful of the United States, not only to have a powerful encounter with the Holy Father and the Church, but also to encounter Jesus Christ in the sacraments. The Bishop's Office for American Visitors to the Vatican is a fountain of mercy and a place of miracles. It is our honor to participate in this extension of your ministry in the Eternal City. I would like to thank you for your support of this office, for entrusting us with the care of your people. Please know of our daily prayers for each of you, and I ask that you would please pray for us and our work in Rome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister, and thank you and your consorelle for your service to the pilgrims who come to Rome and to the Bishops' Conference. Now I think we've located Bishop Seuss, so we'll invite him to come and speak to us.
Dear brothers, bishops, it is a great honor for me to be here and on behalf of Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, His Beatitude Sviatoslav Shevchuk, and the Synod of Bishops of Ukraine, all Catholics of Ukraine, and the long-suffering, brave Ukrainian people to speak to you. We do not get tired of repeating in unison every day in the depths of our hearts. Ukraine stands, Ukraine is fighting, Ukraine is praying. Ukrainians want peace, but a just peace that will forever turn over the tragic page of the war that took thousands of innocent lives. Today is the 993rd day of Russia's war against Ukraine. I want to sincerely thank you, each of you, and through you, all the faithful of your churches, for remembering us, praying for us, supporting us in different ways, visiting us, worrying about us, and trying to be just by our side. Ukrainians appreciate that what you have done for us since the first days of the war. On these first days and weeks where we challenged the big challenge, all people in Ukraine, we felt your solidarity and your attention to us. Your various humanitarian support, financial support through Catholic Relief Service, a metropolitan healing of wounds of the war funds in Philadelphia, office aid to Catholic in office aid to the Church in Eastern Europe, Catholic Near East Welfare Association, the Knights of Columbus, other Catholic charities, as well as your numerous donations made through our Ukrainian eparchies here in the United States that help Church and our people to survive in the brutal conditions of the war. Many of you visited Ukraine during the war and directly touched the wounds caused by it. Thank you for your taking part in this tough struggle, marathon for peace in Ukraine with all of us. Now I'm a curial bishop, auxiliary bishop of the head of the church in Kiev. To get here, it takes 3 days. So first we have to move in Ukraine from Kiev to Lviv, after from Lviv to closer airport to Poland, stay overnight, and in the morning taking flight to United States. I think that some of bishops, the bishop president visited Ukraine, and you felt all this long pilgrimage way to get somewhere. And also I'm responsible for Ukrainian migrants. I am the head of Pastoral Migration Department of UGCC, and my duty is to provide pastoral care of Ukrainians who left Ukraine recently or for the last 20, 30 years, and they live in the countries where we don't have our hierarchy. So there are no bishop. So I'm bishop for those people. It's around 18 countries where Ukrainians live now, and we try to managing the pastoral care for them. But before, for 15, 16 years, I was an army chaplain. And in our Ukrainian West Point, in Lviv Army Academy. So every day I hear from my former cadets who now are on front line about their wounds. So they messaging me, just telling about what happened to them. And recently I spoke with an officer who returned from Russia captivity, where he spent 2 years. We also have 2 priests who spent 2 years in Russia prison and were tortured there and passed through many challenges. And this soldier, this officer, told me that he already passed through the hell. So he said that I will never be again in the hell, because to be in the Russian prison is really to be in the hell, already on the earth. And what he realized and discovered for our reality, so he said that now I understood that the evil has a real human mask. Sometimes the human person can be evil and can do many bad things to you. So they discovered many pain in these prisons. Another guy, Alexei, lost everything. A few months ago, he lost his family home. And a few days ago, he lost his leg. He wrote me a message. I'm without a leg, in hospital, pray for me. I didn't know what to say to him, but I gathered courage and said, we will buy you a new leg. We will put you a prosthesis which will you be more stronger. But I also told him, I will always be next to you. You will not be alone. Today, more than 60,000 Ukrainians had amputation. So we need to support these guys, the men and women, the children, the people who are really need support and needs the people who are brave and do not afraid to stay next to them. So as a church, we cannot change all realities of the war, but we can be next to those people who suffer and wipe their tears. God wipes the tears of children who have lost their parents, women who have lost their children and their husbands, the tears of people who have lost everything. God is with His people. God is with the church in Ukraine. You are with the church in Ukraine. You are with Alexei, who lost his leg, and other guys and women and children who needs our presence. Considering the world's political changes, we hear different predictions about the possible end of the war in Ukraine. It should be clear that every Russian occupation leads to the elimination of our church as public community. All our churches on the occupied territories were closed, destroyed, priests were imprisoned or were expelled from the territories. So the Russians never will allow to have any Catholic church on the territory which are under occupation. Today, the big concern of all Ukrainians is that we are not betrayed, we will not be betrayed, and that our fate is not decided without us. Truly say, we don't want to be in the menu, we want to be at the table when the world will start any negotiations with Russia and their partners. At the beginning of the war, our enemy said that there was a so-called fascist regime in Ukraine. Later, they said that Ukraine is a mistake of history and that we as a state have no right to exist. Russian church authorities declare that the war against Ukraine is a holy war and that the whole of Europe and the world should be converted through the war in Ukraine. When we go on Facebook and we'll read the sermons of Russian church authorities, we will discover another mask of Christian life, which is very dangerous to think about that, because sometimes they use Christian values just to justify their crimes against their humanity. The Russian ruler often says that he has a time and he will wait until everyone is tired and turned away from Ukraine. Meanwhile, he occasionally throws information into the world that he is ready for dialogue, only on his terms, only based on what he wants. It is hard to believe that someone who told us yesterday that we are a mistake of history and have no right to exist knows how to conduct a dialogue. Russia, together with China, North Korea, and their soldiers who are already present on the front line in Ukraine, Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, and other countries friendly to them, wants to change the rules in the world and destroy the democratic order. We all see that from the news today. Today, organizations responsible for security, human rights, and dignity are becoming increasingly powerless. It was very painful for us, Ukrainians, to hear that someone concerned, deeply concerned about what is going on in Ukraine, but nothing is being done. We resisted in February 2022, and we will resist now. We believe God will not abandon us and will help us stop this evil. Also, we believe you will continue to pray for us, to advocate, and to help us. May God save Ukraine and save America, and thank you for your courage, thank you for your attention, and your being ready to be next to all Ukrainians who need friends today at this time of the war. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bishop, for your compelling words, and certainly be assured of our prayerful support. I don't know if there are any questions for Bishop Sos. I think you may have left us all speechless.
There's one, Bishop.
Yes, Bishop.
I can't see.
Bishop Ito.
Dear Bishop Stephen, I felt like you when on July 2nd, at the beginning of your synod, I was sitting with you at the end of a very short 1 week, but very intense travel to your country, to Lviv and then Kiev and then back. I want to share with you what I shared at the beginning of your synod. When I visited the very first day on the land, this rehabilitation center, Superhumans, there was a child of 12 years old, Sashko, and Archbishop Guziak was talking with him, a smiling 12 years old boy from Kharkiv who lost his leg when the store where he was doing some shopping with his older sister was bombed. The sister passed away, and he lost his right leg. And in this center where adults were struggling to reckon with their new reality, having lost a limb and human capacities, he was there as a smiling young children, innocent, under the watchful, loving eyes of his mother. And we were told the story that when he first started using the prosthetics of his right leg, obviously he was bound to fall one moment or another. When he fell the first time, his mentor that was accompanying him said, well, now you have experienced falling the first time. To which he replied quickly, I've experienced the first time getting up. I want to share with you what I already said to all of you in your synod. It's the spirit that I encounter meeting with bishops, some other intellectual people, mothers, spouses who lost their beloved ones. What I've experienced is Ukrainian people is, yes, experiencing falling, but experiencing getting up, for which I'll give testimony. I want to thank you on behalf of UGCC. Thank you.
Thank you, too. Thank you.
Anyone else? Again, thank you very much, Bishop.
Thank you.
Next for our consideration are two causes for beatification and canonization. I invite Bishop Thomas John Paprocki and Bishop Andrew Cousins and Bishop Edward Loshi to come forward.
Thank you, Archbishop Broly. Good afternoon, Brother Bishops. Rejoice in hope, endure in affliction, persevere in prayer. Today we have the privilege of reflecting on the lives of two women who bore witness to those words of St. Paul in his letter to the Romans. Women who embraced their distinct vocations as a professed religious and as a lay woman, who were enriched by prayer and love for the Eucharist, and through their lives dedicated to service to others, promoted the dignity of the human person, encouraged others to discern God's purpose for their lives, and when faced with great adversity, bore witness to the redemptive suffering and transformative presence of Christ. This past summer, Bishop Andrew Cousins of Crookston and Bishop Lawrence Persico of Erie requested that time be allotted on our agenda this week for a consultation on the causes of beatification and canonization of Sister Anela Zervas, a professed religious of the Order of St. Benedict, and servant of God, Gertrude Agnes Barber, lay woman. The universal law governing causes of canonization requires the diocesan bishop to undertake 3 consultations before he initiates a cause of beatification and consultation. He is to consult the Christian faithful, the Holy See, and other bishops. The consultation today fulfills the third requirement to consult other bishops. It is an opportunity to express the extent of the individual's reputation for holiness beyond any given local church, and, if needed, to consider the cause's social, ecclesial, and even cultural importance and ramifications. As is our custom, Bishop Cousins will offer a few brief remarks on the cause for Sister Anella Zervis, and you will be invited to offer observations on that cause before a vote is taken. In the absence of Bishop Persico, Bishop Losi will then lead us through the same process for the cause related to Dr. Agnes Barber. First, Bishop Cousins.
Thank you, Bishop Paprocki and Archbishop Broglio. Grateful to be with you, brothers. It's an honor to share with you the life of Sister Anella Zervis, a Benedictine sister whose Catholic faith, courage, and complete surrender to God offer us an extraordinary example of holiness. Born and raised in the Diocese of Crookston in Moorhead, Minnesota, Sister Anella's story has made an impact on the faithful in Minnesota and beyond. Her story touches the heart of our Catholic faith, teaching us that even the greatest suffering, when united with Christ, becomes a powerful means of redemption and intimacy with God, enriching our understanding of what it means to be fully human. For years, small and large groups of people have gathered at her grave during spring and summer and fall to pray for her beatification and canonization, seeking her intercession, and also giving thanks for favors received. Her influence has spread beyond Minnesota, with devotion to her growing internationally through documentaries and songs and booklets that have inspired the people of God to seek her guidance. Sister Anella was a simple soul who lived an ordinary Christian and religious life, but through her growing in her life of prayer, she was able to embrace intense suffering for the love of God and his people. As a child, she was drawn to frequent communion and would often walk to daily Mass in the Fargo-Moorhead area, even in the cold weather of northern Minnesota. And as a religious sister, receiving the Eucharist was the most important moment of her day. She also knew and valued the importance of one's vocation. She often prayed that people would not miss their vocation. She can be a special intercessor for our youth, especially so many of our young people who speak about discovering their vocations in Eucharistic adoration. Her life exemplifies the value of suffering. She had intense and unexplainable suffering in her short life. Suffering is such a profound part, of course, of all of our lives, and it's important that when we suffer, whatever the cause, we come to know that we're not alone. Sister Anella knew our Lord was with her in her suffering, and she lived this truth daily. And she invites us, each of us, to see that our suffering can have value when we allowed the Lord to suffer in us. Our Holy Father reminded us of this so beautifully in his recent encyclical on the Sacred Heart. Sister Anella witnessed most especially to the suffering of those who are often forgotten in society, often people in nursing homes and hospitals. Her story has been an inspiration to many people facing difficult trials. Stories have been shared with us, including recovery from the wounds of abortion, addiction, severe illness, the pain of suicidal thoughts. Her intercession has reportedly healed many people, and she's reportedly appeared to people in person and in visions, always extending God's confidence and peace. Many people have expressed that her witness to the value of suffering has helped them to embrace their own suffering with faith in God's goodness. Her life reminds us of what God and the Church desire for us: a Christian family, supportive of our vocation, the offering of all of our things through Mary's care, reliance on God's will above all things, a renewed love for the Eucharist, friendship with Christ, and total surrender to God even in difficulty. In this way, Sister Anella is a true teacher of our Catholic faith, witnessing that each person, regardless of their struggle, has great dignity and is created for intimacy with God. And she teaches us that God is our truest friend, and our vocations are good even when they take a different path than we might expect. I pray that Sister Anella's life might continue to inspire and console and bring hope to all who encounter her story, pointing all of us to God's good designs and never-failing love, even in the midst of difficulty. And I ask for your endorsement, brothers, that the church may soon raise Sister Anella to the altar as a servant of God, an apostle of suffering for our day, Sister Anella Zervis. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop Cousins. Are there any observations that anyone would like to make about the cause? Seeing none, I think we're ready to proceed. Bishop Paprocki, will you please read the action?
At the request of Bishop Andrew H. Cousins, as we just heard, do the members consider it advisable to advance on the local level the cause of beatification and canonization of Sister Anella Zervis, a professed religious of the Order of St. Benedict?
We are now ready to vote. Please vote by selecting 1 for yes, 2 for no, or 3 for an abstention. Please vote now.
Archbishop, the action item passes.
Thank you very much.
Bishop Edward Losi is a bishop of the Kalamazoo and a member of the Committee on Canonical Affairs and Church Governance, and so he's originally from Erie, so we'll make this presentation on behalf of Bishop Persico.
Thank you, Bishop Paprocki, Archbishop Broglio, brothers. I am honored today to speak to you on behalf of Bishop Lawrence Persico of the Diocese of Erie, Pennsylvania, as he prepares to conduct an inquiry into the heroic virtue of the servant of God, Gertrude Agnes Barber. Bishop Persico, as we just heard, is unable to be here in person, and because in my former days I was Vicar General in Erie and familiar with this cause, he requested that I present it to you in his name. I humbly seek the opinion of the conference on whether it is advisable to proceed with the inquiry into Dr. Gertrude Barber's heroic virtues. Some of you may already be familiar with the legacy of Dr. Barber. Before her death in the year 2000, she was well known in Pennsylvania and in some circles throughout the United States for her advocacy on behalf of children and adults with intellectual disabilities. Gertrude Agnes Barber was born in Erie on September 16, 1911, to Catherine Cantwell Barber, an immigrant from Ireland, and John Barber. She was raised in a pious Catholic household which placed a great value on faith and education, 2 things she treasured her whole life. Dr. Barber began her professional career as a teacher for the City of Erie Public School District. She earned a doctoral degree in education and became a school psychologist and administrator. It was during this time, working in the city school system, that Dr. Barber recognized God's call for her life. One of her duties as a school psychologist was to assess children with special needs and then explain to their parents that these children could not be educated at the school and had to be withdrawn. Dr. Barber was deeply affected as she saw parents face the agony of either keeping their children at home without access to an education or sending them away to a distant institution where they would be segregated from the world and apart from their families. Dr. Barber was determined to find another way. A long-life member of St. Anne Parish in Erie and inspired by her deep Catholic faith in Jesus Christ, she saw these individuals as children of God who deserve the opportunity to develop to their fullest potential in a loving and supportive environment without the need to leave their parents and siblings. Entrusting this undertaking to the providence of God, Dr. Barber began meeting with parents of children with special needs. In 1952, in a room borrowed from the local YMCA, she opened the first class for children with intellectual disabilities where they could receive the assistance they needed without being sent away. She soon started offering classes for children with vision and hearing impairments and opened training programs for adults with intellectual disabilities at locations around Erie. She founded the Dr. Gertrude A. Barber Center to facilitate this loving and nurturing care of individuals with special needs. In 1971, she left her job at the Erie School District to become the full-time administrator at the center. Her organization soon expanded its mission to include services that span an entire lifetime, from early intervention therapies for infants and toddlers, a school serving children from 24 area school districts, adult training and job placement services, recreational programs, and group homes for adults, and a retirement center for adults in their senior years. Under her leadership, mental health services were also initiated to meet behavioral challenges for children, adults, and families, and services extended beyond the original scope to include those who needed residential care. She responded to requests from locations throughout the state, opening adult residential group homes and adult day services across Erie County, as well as in the Philadelphia and Pittsburgh areas. It must be said, though, that Dr. Barber's life was not a continuous trajectory of success. At a young age, while her mother was visiting family in Ireland, she eloped with a man with whom she had fallen in love. But the marriage was an unhappy one and ended quickly in divorce. She never sought to remarry, instead spending the rest of her life giving full attention to her mission of advocating for those with special needs. Those who worked closely with Dr. Barber were struck by her kindness, determination, humility, piety, and strength of character. Her spirituality was simple. She saw all people as children of God and sought to treat them with the dignity they deserved. Dr. Barber died suddenly on April 29, 2000. Her legacy continues to be carried out today as her organization, now called the Barber National Institute, employs nearly 3,000 people who provide a range of services for more than 6,000 children and adults with intellectual and physical disabilities and behavioral health challenges across Pennsylvania, with services and support offered to their families as well. Dr. Barber's life and witness call us to remember and honor the presence of Christ, even in the most vulnerable of our brothers and sisters, and to see reflected in them the beauty of a loving Creator. Dr. Barber's example challenges us to love these individuals with the love of God Himself. Her example gives hope and support to families who struggle with how to care for their members with special needs. Her teachings inspire us to recognize the dignity and beauty of those who are most vulnerable among us, and to recognize the presence of Christ in them, calling us to put into action the Lord's own words, "Whatsoever you do to the least of these little ones, you do to me." Hers is a legacy which inspires others to seek holiness through service, bowing humbly before the mystery of divine love bestowed equally upon all our brothers and sisters. I would like to thank you for allowing me this time on behalf of Bishop Persico to seek your opinion on whether it is advisable to initiate the cause of canonization of the servant of God, Dr. Gertrude Barber. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop Losi. Are there any observations you would like to make about this cause? Seeing none, Bishop Paprocki?
At the request of Bishop Lawrence T. Persico, as presented on his behalf by Bishop Edward Losi, do the members consider it advisable to advance on the local level the cause of beatification and canonization of the servant of God, Gertrude Agnes Barber, lay woman?
We are now ready to vote. Please vote by selecting 1 for yes, 2 for no, or 3 to abstain. Please vote now.
Archbishop, the bishops believe that it is advisable to advance the cause.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I now invite Archbishop Charles Thompson and Bishop Andrew Cousins to offer us updates on the National Eucharistic Revival and the National Eucharistic Congress. Please proceed.
Thank you, Archbishop. As we all know, Bishop Cousins has led us very well throughout this National Eucharistic Revival. He continues to be the chair of the board for the National Eucharistic Congress Corporation and leading us in this final year of the revival with a focus on missionary sending. So with your permission, I'll allow Bishop Cousins to provide the update.
Thank you, Archbishop Thompson. Thank you, Your Eminencies, Your Excellencies. God has been good to us. It's been really overwhelming to hear from many of you, even this week, the stories of the blessings that God has poured out on our church and on our world through the 10th National Eucharistic Congress. Let's just watch this 2-minute video, which might bring us back some of the incredible beauty of this Kairos moment.
To whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life.
This isn't just something we did for him. This is something he did for us, that he wanted for us, that he wanted for his church.
Jesus meets us where we are and then draws us to the truth so that inflamed with love, we can become his witnesses.
Bring the light of Christ out into the secular world. This great revival will have been a failure if we don't change our society.
The joy that was present here was so beautiful.
I'm looking forward to the next one.
We want the world to know who you are, how good you are. Make us, Lord, your missionaries to every corner of our land. Show us, Lord, who we are. Let us be your body in the world.
Commit yourself to becoming a Eucharistic missionary, someone who lives deeply a Eucharistic life.
Whoever eats this bread will live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh for the life of the world.
Go and tell others about the gift that you have received. In November of 2021, this body voted overwhelmingly to have the 10th National Eucharistic Congress. And together we made a journey that literally and figuratively covered thousands of miles and touched thousands of hearts and culminated in 5 days of joy in Indianapolis. From the beginning, we wanted to see a movement of Catholics across the United States healed, converted, formed, unified, and sent on mission for the life of the world. And this is what we saw. Countless physical healings, deep conversions, deep formation, and the joy that comes from unity. From the day that the perpetual pilgrims arrived in the Congress, before the Congress began, to the opening night's holy hour, the days filled with beautiful liturgies and powerful talks, to the epic Eucharistic procession through downtown Indianapolis, and with the closing Mass from the Papal Legate Cardinal Tagle, the joy and peace that marked that time together was a true sign of the Spirit's presence. Particularly powerful was the priest track, attended by over 700 members of the clergy and a number of bishops. So many people commented of the palpable joy of the whole event, which many described as a taste of heaven. One religious sister, she said to me at the end, she said, "We had to be told to go 4 times, 3 by Cardinal Tagle and 1 by you, or we would never have left." It's definitely possible to say God has visited his people, and certainly that was my experience. Just to review some of the numbers don't tell the whole story, but they're part of it. Low estimates for the National Eucharistic Pilgrimage would say that over 200,000 official participants spent time on those 4 pilgrimage trails, with tens of thousands witnessing a Eucharistic procession, perhaps for the first time. Local planning by each host diocese made each stop on the journey a unique experience. Shifting to the Congress, we were really edified to see the whole church there. 50,000 plus participants from all 50 states, including every age and stage of life, plus 23 countries represented. In terms of the overall budget, the Congress came in under budget in terms of estimated expenses and over budget on revenue, thanks to a surge of registration in the last 2 weeks. Highlights included 4,137 clergy and religious who attended, over 175 bishops who attended. Sunday's procession had an estimated 65,000 participants, and more than 30,000 confessions were heard in those days by over 500 priests. Notably was the intergenerational nature of the event. 12,500 family members attending, and featured sessions that were tailored for families. Our family session sold out, our family track, including youth tracks, though, ministry leaders tracks. Digitally, we had over 350,000 viewers on our own website. That doesn't count Relevant Radio, EWTN. Millions of people participated. Relevant Radio estimates 1.2 million people tuned in live. And this was just during the Congress, because of course the reach of the videos are still online on YouTube, and many people continue to watch them. We also have a digital platform that showcases all of them. A group of us from the USCCB were at the International Eucharistic Congress in Quito, Ecuador, and everyone was saying how they had watched our Congress. From Thailand to Africa, people had participated. In a follow-up survey, which we sent to all attendees, with a simple question: how likely would you be to invite a family member or a friend to a future National Eucharistic Congress? When corporations use this, they call it a net promoter score, and 80% is considered the gold standard. We had 89% net promoter score, said that they would recommend this to someone for the future. I think it's important to say that what made this event unique was the bishops. You called for it. Your support, your presence, your engagement made this powerful, and the people felt it, and I know that the bishops who were there felt it. I want to speak just a little bit about a future vision for the National Eucharistic Congress Corporation. We're grateful for an ongoing relationship with the USCCB, and we hope to discern with the bishops when is the best time for the 11th National Eucharistic Congress. The National Eucharistic Congress Corporation was founded by a vote of this body of bishops, and the NEC is recognized as an affiliate organization. We have an Episcopal liaison that's appointed by the president of the conference, and our board consists of a majority of bishops. The primary work of the NEC in the years ahead will be to support dioceses as they desire to continue the movement of Eucharistic renewal in our church, which we all know is a generational movement, especially helping to form and send Eucharistic missionaries. As the 3-year revival comes to its culmination next year, the NEC would hope to sponsor with local dioceses, we hope to sponsor next year a national Eucharistic pilgrimage from Indianapolis to Los Angeles, sort of the culmination of the 3-year revival. And we hope to continue to do that at the service of local dioceses in the future as they desire. We'd also really be happy in the future to assist regions and dioceses in planning their own congresses and to provide resources for formation, charismatic small group experiences as we did during the revival, and the ongoing work of missionary formation, helping to engage Eucharistic missionaries. We believe as a corporation that it should be the USCCB, the body of bishops, who convokes a Congress, as happened this time. And so you could expect that in the future we'd be coming back to this body with a concrete proposal about when the next National Eucharistic Congress might be, and asking the bishops to approve that Congress, because we want it to be a sense when we do a National Eucharistic Congress that the bishops have called for it. Based on the input from sponsors and donors and participants, there is certainly strong support for us to plan to do this again in the future. As you know, the Revival's Year of Mission is in full force. Our major call to action this year, those of you who were at the Congress know this well, is our Walk with One initiative. It's in direct response to our Holy Father's exhortation that we accompany those who are in need in any way, and including in need of a living relationship with Jesus in the Eucharist. It's also an opportunity for us in the U.S. Church to go forth in a synodal fashion, listening to those who are on the peripheries and inviting them to a deeper experience of communion and participation in mission as part of Christ's body on earth. My invitation to all of you here is to make sure that your pastors and your parish leaders know of this simple yet powerful initiative. We've produced parish toolkits that are available on our website, and we also have formation that happens on a monthly basis online for those who want to be part of this Walk with One initiative. And you can imagine, certainly I've been talking about this in my diocese, how our parishes and dioceses would be transformed if every practicing Catholic decided they wanted to try to accompany one person and walk with them towards the Catholic faith. Finally, as we continue this synodal journey through the year of mission into the Jubilee year as pilgrims of hope, let's recall this reminder from our Holy Father's new encyclical, De Lexit Nos. In the Eucharist, the merciful and ever-present love of the heart of Christ invites us to union with Him. And Pope Francis goes on to add these inspiring words towards the end of the document about mission. Acts of love of neighbor, with the renunciation, self-denial, and suffering and effort that they entail, can only be such when they are nourished by Christ's own love. He enables us to love as He loved, and in this way He loves and serves those others through us. He humbles Himself to show us His love through our actions, yet even our slightest works of mercy, His heart is glorified and displays all its grandeur. Let's pray that Christ will continue to nourish us by His own love, and that the Holy Spirit will help us to humbly walk with those whom we encounter, sharing the joy of the gospel person by person, and inviting all we meet to the full mystery of the Eucharistic life of our church. I'm very happy to hear any questions or comments from the brothers, and I would certainly be happy to also to hear any graces that you experienced in your own diocese or your own lives from the Eucharistic Pilgrimage and Eucharistic Congress. Thank you.
Bishop Cousins, I would like to thank you on behalf of all of the bishops again for all of your efforts and for what was a very successful enterprise. Since we're a little bit behind, I think we'll forego the questions for now and move on to the next item. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
I now invite Bishop Roy Campbell in his capacity as the president of the National Black Catholic Congress to the podium for a presentation on the history, mission, and programs of the NBCC. Bishop Campbell, please proceed.
I originally had two people that were supposed to be coming up here and trying to find them. But let us start. I want to say good afternoon to my brother bishops and to my sisters and brothers in the Lord. I want to thank you, Archbishop Broglio, Archbishop Lori, and Father Fuller for giving me a few minutes to present a short video that speaks to the mission of the National Black Catholic Congress. Some of you know that in addition to being the auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of Washington, I am the president of the National Black Catholic Congress. And I also want to introduce to you Valerie Washington, executive director, and Kimberly Hefner, our program project coordinator for the National Black Catholic Congress. I was asked once, why do you people, meaning you black people, remain Catholic? This short video we want to show you shows how we are rooted in our faith. And this is the mission of the National Black Catholic Congress, and was aptly chosen as the theme of Congress 13, which was held in July of last year in Washington, D.C. And that theme was Write the Vision, the prophetic call to thrive. This is what Bishop John Ricard said in his homily at the closing Mass about the flame of our faith. We can't let the fire go out.
Brothers and sisters, the very fact that we are assembled at the 11th National Congress of Black Catholics in the United States indicates that we are heirs to a legacy. Indeed, I consider myself the beneficiary of a revolution. But putting that aside for the moment, let's consider the legacy we've inherited. The National Black Catholic Congresses are the first and oldest assemblies of lay Catholics in the United States. As we all know, their original proponent was a man named Daniel Rudd, who'd been born as a slave and became the publisher of a national black Catholic newspaper. And Daniel Rudd was a firm believer that the Catholic Church was the single great hope for African Americans. Indeed, that all black folk should be Catholic. And to that end, in 1888, 25 years after emancipation, he proposed that black Catholics hold a general congress so that they might get to know one another and, as he put it, take up the cause of the race.
Daniel Rudd was an exceptional human being. He represents so many of our lay people as someone who lived out his faith and didn't just talk about it, but actually lived it in terms of gathering so many people to come together. Back in 1889, to talk about what really matters to being Black and Catholic.
We are the Catholic Church. We're everyone's church. We're the church to which all people and all nations are invited and from which all Christian denominations are derived. Our church is the one church built by Jesus Christ on the apostles. We are the mystical body of Christ. Why stay a Catholic? Why in the world would we want to be anything else?
The first National Black Catholic Congress came into being because Daniel Rudd and his companions asked the question, what does it mean to be Black and Catholic? Are we a problem or an opportunity? And that same question was developed as Cynthia Bowman spoke to our bishops in 1989. And she asked the same question, what does it mean to be Black and Catholic today?
If you get enough fully functioning Black church Catholics in your diocese, they gonna hold up the priest and they gonna hold up the bishop. Your job is to enable me, to enable God's people, Black people, white people, brown people, all the people, to do the work of the church in the modern world. Teaching, preaching, witnessing, worshiping, serving, healing, and reconciling in Black, wedded to the lived experience, to the history and the heritage of Black people.
The Black Catholic experience is a rich and fertile expression of the courage, the tenacity, and the dedication of Black people clinging to their faith under some extraordinarily painful moments.
This is why the Congress was founded by Daniel Rudd in the 1880s, and why it is so important that we hold to the identity that we have as Black Catholics and the gifts that we were given to use as Black Catholics, not just for ourselves, but for everyone, all the time.
In 1987, Pope John Paul II, now St. John Paul II, had an audience with Black Catholics in New Orleans, unheard of at that time. Beautiful moment in the church's history. And he spoke about being Black and Catholic. And these are the words he said. He said, "Your Black cultural heritage enriches the church and makes her witness of universality more complete. In a very real way, the church needs you, just as you need the church. You are part of the church, and the church is part of you." What are we called to do to make the life of African Americans in the church, in society, more effective? That Congress was a beginning of a movement that we're still living out today.
At our closing Mass, I asked anyone who is considering a religious vocation to come forward, and the number of young people who got up out of their seats, knowing that maybe those around them never knew that they felt this way, and to see the expression on these young men and women's faces as they realized that the gift that God had given them and called them to was one that the church appreciates, was one of the things that really lifted my heart. Sometimes we don't realize that those next to us may have gifts because no one has said, no one has asked, and we hadn't thought about it. My hope is that the Congress allows our Black Catholics to know that they have and to use what they have been given by God for the benefit of everyone around them. And for others to realize the gifts that Black Catholics have to live as the one body of Christ that we're called to be.
I am black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black. I am black.
Black.
Black. I am black.
I'm black. And I'm Catholic.
My dear brother bishops, as the president of the National Black Catholic Congress, which, as you saw, was founded by Daniel Rudd in 1889 as the Colored Catholic Congress, it was revived in 1986 by our own Bishop John Ricard, SSJ, under its current name. I thank you for watching this powerful video, which was meant to inspire you and to remind you of the faith and the gifts of Black Catholics. And as you know, we have a long legacy of faithfulness to our church, and I thank all of you for what you have done to keep that fire burning. Our Holy Father, Pope Francis, states in the Joy of the Gospel, the church, which goes forth as a community of missionary disciples who take the first step, who are involved and supportive, who bear fruit and rejoice. An evangelizing community knows that the Lord has taken the initiative. He has loved us first, and therefore we can move forward boldly, taking the initiative, go out to others, seek those who have fallen away, stand at the crossroads, and welcome the outcasts. The National Black Catholic Congress, not only spiritually, but also through our Daniel Rudd Fund, monetarily helps parishes and organizations to do just that, inviting them to apply for our yearly grants. As missionary disciples, I have 3 requests for you in your ministry to Black Catholics in your diocese. First, please continue to encourage and support our young men to consider a vocation to the priesthood, and our young women to one of consecrated life. We all know that the church can only call men to the episcopacy from holy priests. Perhaps as we visit our schools, as well as confer the sacrament of confirmation, we can all make a special emphasis on that call to the priesthood and consecrated religious life. Secondly, I ask that you promote the cause of the ones we call the Holy Six, the Black Catholics on the road to sainthood. As you saw, Venerable Augustus Tolton, whose picture was there as he was present at the first Congress held in Washington, D.C. in January 1889. Venerable Mother Mary Lang, Venerable Pierre Toussaint, Venerable Henrietta DeLille, Servant of God Julia Greeley, and Servant of God Sister Thea Bowman, who addressed this very assembly of bishops in June 1989. Their lives remind us of the holiness and resilience of Black people in the midst of much injustice. And one day we hope to call all of them saints of the Holy Roman Catholic Church. And finally, I invite you to develop a pastoral plan in your diocese for Black Catholics. At our Congress 13, held here in Washington, D.C. last year, we developed a wonderful document that helps discern the specific needs in our local church. The staff of the National Black Catholic Congress is ready to be a resource for you in this effort. We are sending each of my brother bishops, if you have not already received one, a copy of this document. It's called Write the Vision, a prophetic call to thrive. And we hope that you will be able to use it in your diocese and in your parishes. This is the pastoral plan that came out of Congress 13. And for Black Catholics, it is for them as a means to use their God-given gifts for the church, the body of Christ, for our brothers and our sisters. May the Blessed Mother Mary, the first to take Christ to others, guide us in our call to missionary discipleship. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop Campbell. You know, a few years ago, you published pictures or holy cards of these. Are those still available? I know when I took them to military installations, they went like hotcakes because no one had ever heard of these people, and it'd be great if they're still available.
We can get them for you, okay? So yes, we can have it, and I think you'll enjoy it. We, Bishop Perry provided us at the Subcommittee for African American Affairs this past Saturday, not just the prayer cards, but a little booklet on each one. So if you contact the Congress office, then you'll be able to get what you need to help those in your diocese appreciate the gifts of all of us, for all of us. Again, thank you.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Brothers, that concludes our agenda for today. We will resume public session at 10:45 tomorrow morning. But before that, I have two quick some announcements from Father Fuller.
Your Excellencies, Your Eminences, just two quick announcements. Please remember that amendment forms are due by 5 o'clock in the back of the in the hallway there, or on form stack. And then second, the beta testers, volunteers for our future app, if you could just come forward right after the conclusion here. Thank you.